I think the final thing I can say about Dominic Raab is I don't accept his premise that he is the victim. I do accept that he probably spent all of yesterday, after he'd received the detailed pronouncements of Adam Tolley, trying desperately to avoid resignation and desperately to plead with the Prime Minister not to sack him. The deal, undoubtedly, is that Rishi Sunak allowed him to walk away on his own. And it's a little bit like handing the condemned man a gun and a glass of whiskey. And Dominic Raab wriggled and wriggled and wriggled, and finally, and very reluctantly, he pulled the trigger. But only when he'd done a deal with the Daily Telegraph to allow him to write a column exonerating himself, only when he'd done a deal fixing up an interview with the BBC to exonerate himself, only when he'd found a way to write a letter of resignation where basically he accuses everybody else. Now, it is extraordinary that when he is the victim, there are so many civil servants who apparently were left suicidal because of their interaction with Dominic Raab. Not only were reduced to tears, not only were forced to move to a different department, a different job, because they didn't want to work under him. All of this goes unnoticed. And Tolley is incredibly careful not to cast too much blame, not to damn his victim. Let's call Dominic Raab his victim. Too much. But enough to make it impossible for him not to stay in the job. And Dominic Raab sees that little chink of hope, that little ray of light, and he asks himself, how is it that Priti Patel managed to stay on? How is it that Dominic Cummings managed to stay on? How is it that Owen Paterson almost managed to stay on? How is it that all these various grandees from the Conservative government have managed to cling on to a vestige of hope and office long after they were accused of simply acting inappropriately, of being bad at their job? They've managed to hang on. And if we define it in that broader sense, people being bad at their job, they've managed to hang on. Suella Braverman, Nadine Dorries, and others. Matt Hancock was hanging on for long after he should have gone. And why is it that poor Dominic Raab has to fall on his own sword at this point? Maybe because we've just had enough. Ich habe genug gehabt.